the Giraffe Social Media Podcast. It's what social media managers are talking about. I'm Chloe Belchamber, and on today's episode, I'm direct messaging Be Social's Influencer Marketing Manager, Laura Callaghan. Today, we're going to be talking about the wonderful world of influencer marketing, and I'll be asking Laura her thoughts on how the industry has changed in recent years, along with her top tips for running your first campaign. Hi, Laura. How are you today?
Hi, Chloe. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm really excited to be chatting with you today.
That's good. How have you been? Have you been working from home this year? How's it been?
Yes, so I actually started my job last April, so I've been in lockdown pretty much the whole time. I have
My
been working
goodness.
at Be Influence, so
Wow.
managed to be in the office a little bit. Yeah, it's been pretty much all virtual, which has been so weird.
Hasn't it been a crazy year? I think I have never met half of our team here at Giraffe face to face because they've all started during this post lockdown world. So it's been a crazy time.
Oh, really? It's all just been virtual then? You've not had to see each other in person?
Exactly. How
Oh,
times are
wow.
weird. Well, to get to know you a little bit better, Laura, and something we do in all of our direct message episodes is a round of quick fire questions. So clear your
Okay.
mind and answer whatever comes first. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Instagram or TikTok?
TikTok.
Dine out or order in?
Dine out, definitely, when I can, at least.
Yes, when this is all over, we'll definitely be heading out again.
It'll be all I'll be doing.
Ariana or Beyonce?
Beyonce.
Give up social media or give up Netflix?
Social media.
Ooh.
If I could for my job, probably
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Monochrome wardrobe or colourful wardrobe?
Colourful.
Europe or South Africa?
Europe.
Fashion or food?
Food.
Good choice. And work hard or play
Always.
hard?
Am I cheating if I say both?
Absolutely not. We love a girl who can do both.
Definitely a mixture.
And finally, Disney or Pixar?
Disney.
So to start us off, tell us a little bit about your current role as influencer marketing manager at Be Social, and how did you get there?
Yeah, so I've been at Be Influence for almost coming up to a year now. So I'm the influence marketing manager there. So I basically just manage all the day-to-day client campaigns. As an agency, we've worked with TikTok before. I Saw It First, Vistaprint, Greenpeace, which are a charity. So we've got a really wide range of clients. Actually starting at Be Influence initially I messaged my now boss on LinkedIn multiple times before she actually saw my message. And then she invited me in for an interview. So pestering on LinkedIn does work sometimes. I'm proof of that. And then when I actually went for my interview, I turned up to the old office address. So I was like, I'm basically just not going to get this, am I? My boss had to drive to meet me in a coffee shop in Northern Quarter. It's like an area in Manchester. And we actually had a coffee and we just had a chat for like 2 hours. We got on so well. And that's kind of how I landed the job. So there was a few little hurdles along the way. But yeah, really, really happy.
Wow, that is an incredible kind of starter story. I remember when I started here at Giraffe, I went to the wrong building for an interview as well, and they had to come out and collect me. So I can
Oh,
definitely
wow.
relate to that.
Yeah, well, clearly it worked.
There you go. There's an interview tip. Turn up to the wrong place, make them
That's
chase
the
you.
wrong
I love
place.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do it right. That's not going to work.
I know there are a lot of people out there, even people who work in marketing, who are still new to the magical world of influencers. So, what does an average day on the job look like for you?
Very varied. I mean, obviously, with it being lockdown, it's not quite how it usually is. So, typically, like in my previous roles, it would be a lot of, meeting clients face to face, doing a lot of events, meeting influencers, celebrities, traveling around quite a bit. Unfortunately, obviously, that's not possible at the moment. But yeah, for now, it's obviously a lot of Zoom calls. So we actually manage talent at Be Influence as well. So we'll have conversations with our talent, we'll have calls with clients. We'll might be doing some content review, outreaching to influencers, having some internal brainstorms and kind of coming up with new business pitches and ideas. And yeah, quite a lot of admin as well along the way, which we'll divvy up between ourselves as well. But yeah, it's quite varied at the moment. But yeah, a lot of conversations. And then within the agency as well, like diversity and inclusion is something that's really important to us. So we always make sure we're having kind of weekly catch-ups to talk about that and learnings. We do every Monday. We have like weekly learnings and things we learned over the weekend and, important resources, reading materials and podcasts and things like that. So yeah, we're always having really, really exciting discussions.
Wow, it sounds like no 2 days are the same over there. What do you love most about your job?
I think probably the people I work with. I think that makes such a huge difference. And we're quite a small team, we're really close knit, and we just have such great open communication with each other. And I think as well, there's not really like a hierarchy as well. Like everyone is listened, everyone is heard to, if an assistant wanted to do a whole get involved on like a pitch or put together their ideas, we're just kind of really open and receptive to what everyone thinks, what everyone wants to do. And I think as well as an agency, we're really open to our mistakes. We recently did put together a pitch for somebody and we really blindsided the whole pitch, and there was a lot of skinny privilege. It was for a plus size tights company, and our own skinny privilege was so clear in the pitch. And, none of us were defensive. We all spoke about it and really opened up to our mistake. So yeah, we have really just important, honest conversations, and we're learning every day. So it's just really great and exciting to be part of.
Wow, it definitely says a lot about a company when people say they love to work there and that they are open to, calling themselves out. So that sounds like an awesome place to work. These days, it's so easy to become an influencer. I mean, some people just accidentally fall into it, especially with the rise of TikTok and YouTube. Have you noticed a shift in the industry over the past few years?
Yeah, definitely. I think especially as mentioned with TikTok, the algorithm is just so like nothing we've ever seen before on any other platform. So, someone could do a silly video and have 200 followers and they get viral reach. I do know a lot of people who have kind of become TikTok famous and they don't really know what to do with it because they're not influencers, they don't have managers, so they kind of like got a newfound fame. But I think like with TikTok and even like translating over to Instagram, content is just a lot more relatable now and a lot more transparent, which is really great to see. You've got influencers showing posed and unposed, showing their stretch marks, just been a lot more open. A lot of people have been campaigning against using filters. So I think it's definitely got a lot more real in the upcoming years for sure. And yeah, I think a lot more important conversations are being had on Instagram now. And yeah, I think as well, it's just a lot more transparent. It's still a long way to go, but I think even with ads as well, brands are having to find new ways to do things and be creative with them. It's not just a case of an influencer holding up, a teeth whitening product and saying this is great. We're really having to be creative and think of ways to keep our audience engaged and make it really organic as well.
Yeah, it's interesting to see it all kind of move into that new kind of authentic direction. It's kind of exciting to see. When we think of influencer marketing, though, I know the first platform that pops into my head is Instagram, but there's also YouTube. There's now, of course, TikTok. There's Hive. Previously we've had blogs and Facebook influencers. What do you think are the most beneficial platforms, or what's beneficial about each platform?
Yeah, I think definitely all the platforms are beneficial. in different ways. So obviously YouTube, that's really great, obviously for longer form content. So obviously for fuller vlogs and, whether it's a dedicated video, an integrated video, I think if that's like a big messaging needs to get out in a longer form, that's really, really good to use. Obviously Instagram is kind of really, really key. It's still like the main platform, and obviously there's so many different features to take advantage of now. So obviously there's now Reels, still IGTV, Instagram stories, and there's also Instagram guides as well, which is still relatively new, which I've seen more brands are doing now as well. That's great for more shorter form content. And then I think with TikTok as well, it's very content first, kind of messaging secondary. So I know some clients are a little bit dubious of it, because it's like how much can we push our messaging and how much can we make it engaging at the same time. But I think that's a really good platform to just create really engaging viral content. We work quite a bit on podcasts now as well recently, which again is really great for longer form and really great for discussions. And it just feels really organic as well. So yeah, that's something that we're working on a little bit more now too.
Wow, that's so interesting. Podcasts never really comes to mind when you think of promotional content, but you're right. Every podcast I listen to does have a little segment, like a sponsored segment.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
We'll have to watch that space.
Yeah, definitely. I think either little segments, or we've been working on fully branded episodes. So for Christmas we went with Vistaprint, and someone did a fully branded episode on their Christmas confessions, and they'd have loads of funny stories. They brought Vistaprint in, they brought in personalised products, and it was just really, really organic and a really great full episode. So
there you go, something for us here at Giraffe to note down to ourselves.
Yeah.
All that being said, is there a platform that you think works best when it comes to influencer marketing and getting that sort of brand messaging across?
I think probably we do typically work across quite a variation with clients, but I think your staple really is Instagram. Obviously, because as I mentioned, there's so many different elements to it. So, you've got your stories with the shorter form content, with the swipe ups, you've got your grid posts, you've got your reels. So everything can be hosted on Instagram if it needs to be. So obviously link in bio, discount codes and captions. So yeah, I think probably Instagram is kind of the main source, I'd probably say.
Totally. And you've touched on it throughout the interview, but I love that you're such a big advocate when it comes to calling out brands for lack of diversity and intersectional inequality. Is that something you've always done even before you worked for B, or have you seen it more especially since we've had the BLM movement in 2020, that sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was always something obviously that was important to me and kind of on my radar. But I think previously I'd worked in places like at Boohoo, and I wasn't a very senior person. I was a part of a very large company. And there wasn't really much room for me to implement or change anything or suggest anything, if I'm being transparent. And now obviously B-Influence has kind of given me that place where we're a small team, we're listened to, we all have the similar ethos and morals. So it's definitely more been since I've been working at B-Influence. And I think as well, probably seeing like you mentioned, like Black Lives Matter movement, and just seeing a lot more transparency and a lot of people talking about it more. It shouldn't have taken that for us to kind of listen up, but if I'm being honest, it was that has made us be a lot more aware of these things. I'd like to say it was at the forefront of my mind all the time, but it wasn't. But I'm just so happy that it is now, and that I've learned from that. I think we've learned from that as a business as well.
Awesome. And I guess with the whole BLM movement, we did see a lot of senior directors and brands kind of stepping down from their roles because of, their previous lack of, involvement and diversity.
Mm-hmm.
Is it usually, as an agency, do you find that brands come to you, with this really strong sense of, equality and diversity, or is it something that you tend to have to pitch to them or remind them about?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a mixture, to be honest. I think because we didn't really shout about the fact that we were, we didn't really talk as much about inclusivity and diversity, like on our website and on our platforms. So I think initially, no. But now definitely it's something that people come to us and they say, they really admire the work that we do, and it kind of echoes what they believe as well. But we're really lucky to work with clients where they're so open to kind of listen to us and our ideas. And we have had some clients where it wasn't really a priority for them initially, and they've been so open to having those conversations, and they've really allowed us to kind of educate them and have those conversations together as well.
Yeah, I think that's super important. And in that vein, like, how do you think brands or agencies can best incorporate diversity into their campaigns? Like, what are kind of your top tips to make sure that happens?
I guess it's sort of initially when you're putting together obviously influencers and pitches and proposals, just making sure that you're really taking the time to ensure there is diversity. And I think with diversity, I think we were guilty of this initially, seeing diversity just in colour, but it's so much more than that. It's really important, to make sure you have influencers in there of different sizes, with different abilities, sexualities. It's much more than just having people of different ethnicities in your campaign, and that's something we've really learned as well. So making sure that you're just really broad, and I think as well making sure that you're really just more sensitive and open and having conversations with different creators, and being aware that sometimes they might charge more money if you're working with a person of colour, or you want them to talk about their traumas or anything they've been through. They need to be paid fairly for that, ensuring that there's no kind of unfairness in payments as well. And I think it's just as well having those conversations internally too, like we do, like say having on a Monday morning, we're all going to talk about like things we learned over the weekend. And maybe I was watching It's a Sin last week, which was absolutely incredible series, which I definitely recommend watching. And that was sort of talking about the HIV in the 80s and homophobia, and it's just kind of talking about things like that, and just being really open and honest internally as well.
That's some really great advice. Creating an influencer marketing campaign from scratch can be incredibly overwhelming and a little bit daunting, especially for brands who have barely dabbled in it themselves. What are some key metrics you would say to look for when searching for influencers to be a part of your campaign?
So I'd say probably we kind of balance it out as soft metrics and harder metrics. So in terms of the softer metrics, we probably look at again, diversity, who the influencers worked with previously, the quality and style of their content, if it fits in with the brand, looking at brand sentiment, so looking through comments and reactions from their posts, particularly paid and sponsored posts, and how that's being received with other brands. And then your harder metrics, so looking at obviously like the following, engagement rate, looking at the audience demographics, so obviously age, gender split, top countries, top cities. Probably just merging the two together, really.
Yeah, super important. We here at Giraffe are huge fans of nano and micro-influencers and everything they can do for a brand. What's your view on micro-influencers compared to, say, celebrity influencers?
I'd say at Be Influence, we definitely work with more macro, mid-tier influencers as opposed to celebrity figures. I think it's important that neither of them are overlooked. They both do different things. Obviously, micro influencers, they usually have a niche. They have really engaged audiences. They're really trusted and respected in what they do. They're obviously lower cost. You can work them in a higher volume. But then celebrities obviously creates, it's mass reach, it's brand awareness, and obviously it's got the PR value as well. So it shouldn't be overlooked. But I'd say definitely when working with newer clients or smaller clients who are kind of just starting out in influencer marketing, would definitely be more, advised to go down the micro influencer route as opposed to the celebrity.
Definitely. And I guess you were kind of just saying, but it's really hard to say that a certain type of influencer is a one size fits all for every brand. So how do you decide which influencers will be a good fit for a brand or a client? Is there kind of like a method?
I guess it's just similar to obviously looking at all the hard metrics and soft metrics, and maybe looking at who the clients worked with previously, and I guess just being really open to the client and what they want and what their vision is as well. It's probably a mixture of those things. But yeah, I think it's just being open and listening to what the client has to say and their feedback as well.
Yeah, I love that. You mentioned earlier at the beginning of the interview all the brands and all the campaigns you've worked on. What I want to know is, what has been your favorite influencer marketing campaign that you've worked on and why?
I think I've worked on quite a lot of really exciting ones, and I'm working on quite a few exciting ones at the moment, but I think probably one that springs to mind is when we did it at Christmas time with Vistaprint. So we did like a Christmas confessions campaign, and it was so broad. We did that across YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and podcasts. So it was a huge campaign. We worked with over 30 influencers. So it was a lot of work, but it was so exciting to work on so many different platforms. And I just think we basically looked at last year's Christmas campaign to this year's Christmas campaign, and the change in the diversity and the variation of influences we had was incredible. And it was so nice to see how far we'd come along. We had so many different influencers. We had influencers doing sign language on their stories. We had just so many different people involved, and it was really, really exciting. And we were just so happy with the quality of the content as well.
Oh, wow. That's so good to hear that you sort of saw this massive improvement compared to your previous campaign. I love that.
Yeah, definitely.
At the beginning of the interview, I asked you what your favorite thing about your job is. What are some pain points? What are some things you're not so, chill with? Tell me everything.
I think it's probably it's more so the influence marketing sphere and social media in general can sometimes just be quite grueling. Like you said, would I prefer Netflix or social media? And I said, I'd rather Netflix, which is kind of funny for someone in my industry to say, but there is times sometimes where you do just want to delete my Instagram account. I want to not care who's viewed my story or who's liked my picture. Like, why do I care? I do. And sometimes I think it's just those pressures, I think, of social media in general. And I think it's just kind of seeing other brands maybe not doing influence marketing how they should be, and that sometimes frustrates me in the sense of you're not disclaiming or just being really uncreative or just working with all white cis straight influence across all their campaigns. Like for example, I don't know if you've seen, but M&S did a campaign for Lunar New Year, which is Chinese New Year, and they just worked with loads of white influencers who talked, it was the wrong food, it was the wrong date, one of them got on the caption. So it's just sometimes just people not doing their research and being educated, which is a little frustrating to see as well. But I do think that there's definitely room for mistakes, for all learning, and yeah, hopefully we'll just keep growing.
Yeah, I imagine it can be quite triggering for someone like you to be scrolling through social media and just like seeing all these things that have been done wrong or things that you would do differently. How do you then like switch off? Like you work all day 9 to 5 on social media. Do you take a break in the evenings? Like what's your routine?
Yes, I'm trying really hard to take a break. So after work last night, I actually just had I had a bath. I listened to some like relaxing music, and my flatmate laughed at me because I like listening to like forests and rain and all of that stuff. But just to clear my head, I put my phone on airplane mode. I admit only for about half an hour, but I still even think just half an hour having a phone on airplane mode, like anything's better than nothing, I think. But yeah, I'm just cooking a nice dinner, lighting candles, and just relaxing, I think. And definitely setting reminders on your phone as well when you have been scrolling. If I've been on Instagram for more than 2 hours, I'll get a message pop up. Sometimes I dismiss it, but it's nice to get the reminder.
Yeah, I set that up for myself and found that I would kind of be like dismiss and then keep scrolling. So I had to give up eventually. But
yeah, it's not beneficial for some people, but it makes me feel guilty at least. So that's something.
Yeah. Well, speaking of scrolling through social media, I had a little scroll through your Instagram page, and alongside your work as an influencer marketer, you're also a massive foodie. I managed to find your drool-worthy blog over at MCR Bites on Instagram. How did that come about?
Oh, thank you so much for checking that out. Basically, I eat out all the time. I spend all, like, my money goes on food. Like, I wonder where it's gone, but I know it's on food. And I just sort of said to myself, I need to actually like turn this into an Instagram page. So that was like, I think it was a couple of years ago, and I just never used it. And then since lockdown, I've just really got into it and just found it such a nice outlet. And it's a great excuse to, you know, I'll say, oh, I need to go and buy some food because I need the picture for my Instagram. So it's a great excuse to keep on being greedy, I suppose, as well. So, but yeah, that's another really, really great outlet actually for me. And it's just a really nice space. I'm part of a little foodie community and like a little Manchester food group. And we're all planning on like meeting each other when lockdown's over and having dinners. So yeah, it's really, really nice.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Just the big feast at the end of this all.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder how many people have fallen into like influencing through this lockdown period where they kind of started a page for fun and it's suddenly kind of like blown up and now they're making money off it. I think that's the dream, right?
Yeah, definitely. I have been sent quite a lot of free food, and that to me is incredible. I'm like, I don't need to get, like, the day I get paid to eat food, I will be shocked. Like, that would be my actual dream. But to just be sent free food is amazing. But yeah, going off from what you said as well, I know quite a lot of people who've started like podcasts and YouTube channels like during this time as well. And my old colleague actually is now, she's got like over 500,000 followers on TikTok now.
Oh my goodness.
So she's actually, she's working at Boohoo. She actually left a job at Boohoo now and she's a full-time TikTok influencer. So, and that just happened last year. So, well, yeah, it was really wild.
That is, we love to hear success stories like that. Good for her.
Yeah, it's not too late.
Yeah, this is your official sign to quit your job and go make it big on TikTok, everyone.
Yeah.
My final question for you today, Laura, is what does the future of influencer marketing look like in your eyes? I mean, we've pretty much touched on it then, but do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I just think kind of going from what I've said, I think TikTok is going to be the platform. I think people are stepping away from Instagram a little bit now. I think more brands are going to be more open to working on TikTok. I think TikTok might introduce some more features that will make it a little bit more beneficial for TikTok influencers. I know they're doing some kind of reward schemes now. They're introducing that anyway. I think more video content. I think Instagram's going to push Reels even more so to try and compete with TikTok. I just think in general, in terms of content, I think there'll be a lot more, I'm hoping and striving for a lot more transparency in the industry, a lot more inclusion, a lot more diversity. And I think as well, just a lot more, I think people will be following ASA guidelines more closely as well. And a lot of these people have been called out recently. I see so many big celebrities still not putting ad on their captions. So, yeah, I think there'll be a lot more of a lockdown on that, definitely, for sure. But yeah, hopefully just a more positive and transparent content we'll see across social media. That's what I'm hoping for.
Love that. And I'm sure with influencer marketing managers like you out there, it is going to be a big, bright future for all of us.
Oh, thank you.
Well, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you so much for joining me, Laura. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our next episodes. You can also connect with us on all major social channels and let us know what you thought about any of the topics we discussed today. Let us know, have you made it big on TikTok? We would love to hear from you. We've been Giraffe Social Media. You've been amazing. We'll see you next time.